Hello, history enthusiasts. Welcome. Today, we will tell you about the epic life of Barbarossa Hayreddin Pasha, the greatest sailor of the Ottoman Empire, who turned the Mediterranean into a Turkish lake, the master of the seas, the nightmare of pirates, the pride of the Ottomans. Come, let us witness together the legendary story he wrote upon the waves. In 1473, on the island of Lesbos, a child was born. This child would one day change the fate of the Mediterranean. His real name was Khizr. His father was Yakup Aga, one of the Sipahis who joined Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror's Lesbos campaign. And his mother was Katerina, of Greek origin. Growing up among ships from a very young age, Khizr admired the endless horizon of the sea even as a child. His destiny was already written. He was to be a man of the sea. At a young age, he began engaging in maritime trade alongside his brothers Oruç and Ilyas. They sailed regularly between Lesbos, Thessaloniki, and Euboea, leading a calm yet hopeful life. But this peace was short-lived. An attack by the Knights of Rhodes changed the lives of the three brothers irreversibly. In this assault, Ilyas lost his life and Oruç was captured. Khizr's world had been shattered. Once his brother was freed, they abandoned trade and turned to piracy. For them, the sea was no longer just a means of livelihood. It had become an arena for revenge. Under the leadership of Oruç Reis, Khizr also began engaging in piracy on the seas. With the support of Ottoman Prince Korkut, they built powerful ships and launched raids on the Christian islands of the Mediterranean. They acquired great loot, captives, and victories. Due to Oruç's red beard, Europeans called him Barbarossa, meaning red beard. Soon, this name also came to be used for Khizr. Everyone now knew them as the Barbarossa brothers. From that day on, the waves of the Mediterranean echoed with their name. In 1515, the Barbarossa brothers set foot in Algiers. They captured the city and established their own sultanate. However, this rule did not last long. In 1518, Oruç Reis was martyred while fighting against the Spaniards. Khizr was now alone. Alone, he made a crucial decision. He declared his allegiance to the Ottoman Empire. In 1519, he sent envoys to Sultan Selim I, requesting that Algiers come under Ottoman protection. Thus, Algiers became Ottoman territory, and Khizr became a pasha who raised Ottoman flags on his galleys. From then on, he was known as Barbarossa Hayreddin Pasha, representing the Ottoman Empire's power in the Mediterranean. Years passed, and after Yavuz, Suleiman the Magnificent ascended the throne. While shaking Europe with his land army, Suleiman wanted to establish the same power at sea. The first name that came to his mind was Barbarossa. In 1533, Barbarossa was invited to Istanbul and granted the rank of vizier. Thus, for the first time in Ottoman history, a sailor rose to the rank of vizier. At the same time, he became the commander-in-chief of the Ottoman Navy, the first Kapudan Pasha. With this position, Barbarossa was no longer just a pirate or the Bey of Algiers. He was now the master of all the seas of the Ottoman Empire. And then the day arrived. In 1538, at the call of the Pope, a massive crusader fleet was assembled, consisting of Venice, Spain, Malta, and Genoa. The goal was clear: to drive the Ottomans out of the Mediterranean. The Crusaders commanded more than 600 ships, while Barbarossa had only 122 galleys. The numbers showed a terrifying imbalance, but Barbarossa's intelligence and experience would erase that difference. He employed at sea the crescent tactic that the Turks had been using on land for centuries. He surrounded the enemy, broke their ranks, and inflicted a crushing defeat. The Ottoman Navy did not lose a single ship. By contrast, 128 Crusader ships were sunk, and 29 were captured. This victory was not just about winning a battle. With it, the Mediterranean definitively came under Ottoman domination. From that point on, Europe was forced to acknowledge the Ottoman naval power. Barbarossa. Hayreddin Pasha was not content with only the Mediterranean. He longed to sail the oceans and even dreamed of reaching the coasts of the New World, America. He shared this vision with the Grand Vizier. "Let us launch a new expedition and raise the Ottoman banners on the shores of America." However, the state considered the control of the Mediterranean and the Indian Oceans sufficient. Thus, Barbarossa's greatest dream never came true. Yet, even this was not a defeat in his eyes. He had already ruled the seas in his own time. In 1543, he embarked on his last great campaign. Afterwards, he returned to Istanbul and spent the rest of his life working at the imperial shipyard. On July 4, 1546, at the age of 73, he passed away. According to his will, he was buried in his mausoleum in Beşiktaş, by the shore of the sea. For his final wish was this: "Bury me by the sea. I want to hear the sound of the waves." From that day on, whenever the Ottoman Navy set out on a campaign, it fired its cannons in salute as it passed before Barbarossa's tomb. This tradition continued for centuries, and even today, the Turkish Navy still shows the same respect. The legendary captain of the seas, Barbarossa Hayreddin Pasha. He was not only one of the greatest admirals of the Ottoman Empire, but also one of the greatest admirals in world history. With his victory at Preveza, he turned the Mediterranean into a Turkish lake, and with his courage and brilliance, he changed the fate of the seas. Even today, his name lives on with the sound of the waves. If you too wish to hear more about Barbarossa's legacy and the unforgettable heroes of history, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Until our next journey, dear history enthusiasts,